Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle one of the biggest, most talked about topics out there, artificial intelligence. We're going to cut right through all the confusing stuff, the hype, the jargon, and get to the heart of what AI really is, how it works, and, why you should even care. All right, let's jump in.
So it really all boils down to this one kind of mind-blowing question. How does a computer learn to think? I mean, it sounds like something straight out of a movie, but it's happening right now. And that's the big idea we're going to unpack together.
Here's a quick look at where we're headed. We'll start with the engine that makes AI tick, machine learning. Then we'll dive into the super creative world of generative AI, see how it's already changing things in the real world, get into the really tough ethical questions, and then we'll take a peek at what's just around the corner. To really understand AI, you can't just jump into the fancy stuff. We've got to start at the bottom, with the absolute foundation of it all. And that foundation has a name: machine learning. Now, you might think this is all brand new, but get this. The term machine learning was actually coined way back in 1959. Wild, right? All it really means is that instead of a person writing code for every single tiny possibility, we build systems that can learn from tons of data and get smarter through experience. Kind of like how we do. So how does a machine actually learn? Well, there are two main ways to think about it. First, there's supervised learning. This is like teaching a kid with flashcards. You show the AI a picture and say cat, show it another and say dog. It learns from these labels. Then there's unsupervised learning. This is more like giving that kid a big box of Legos and just letting them figure it out. The AI gets a bunch of unlabeled data and has to find the patterns all on its own. Okay, so what happens when these systems that can learn suddenly get a creative spark? Well, that's when we enter the world of generative AI. And honestly, this is where things get really exciting. This is the huge leap. See, older AI was mostly about analyzing things that already exist. But generative AI, it's a creator. It can write a poem, paint a picture, compose a song, or even make a video clip, all from just a simple text prompt from you. And to see just how powerful this is, check this out. The entire process of making a film, AI can now be a part of every single step. From brainstorming ideas and writing a script, to designing the look of the film, turning those images into video, and even creating the actors' voices and the background music. It's incredible. You know, the legendary George Lucas once said that sound is half the picture. And it's so true. It's not just about what you see. And generative AI is making a huge splash in the world of audio, too. I mean, we're seeing AI tools that can create shockingly realistic voices for characters. Others can compose a whole movie soundtrack just based on a description of the mood you want. And it can even generate custom sound effects, like the perfect footstep or door creak for a scene. The creative doors are just flying open. But this isn't just about making art in movies. This same core technology is already making its way into really critical parts of our everyday lives. So let's zoom out a bit and see how AI is showing up in the real world. Okay, take healthcare. This is a big one. AI is helping to reduce doctor burnout by handling boring paperwork, like writing up clinical notes. It's acting like a super-powered assistant, helping radiologists spot things in CT scans for an earlier diagnosis. It's even helping scientists discover new drugs faster. It's all about supporting the human experts. And what about your wallet? Well, in the world of finance, AI is working 24/7 in the background, protecting your accounts by spotting weird, fraudulent activity almost instantly. It's also used to help banks assess loan applications and make really complex financial forecasts. It's a huge deal for the entire industry. Of course, anytime you have a tool this powerful, you've got to stop and think about the responsibility that comes with it. And that brings us to the really big, really important conversation about the ethics of AI. So one of the biggest challenges we face is something called algorithmic bias. Here's the problem. If an AI learns from data that humans created, well, it can learn our biases too. Think of it like an AI learning everything it knows from a library full of biased old books. It doesn't know any better, so it just ends up repeating and sometimes even amplifying our own flaws. And this isn't just a theory. A major investigation back in 2016 found that an AI tool used in the justice system was showing serious racial bias. The consequences of this are devastating, and it just shows you how high the stakes really are. We've seen this in other places too, like in hiring. Some AI tools built to screen resumes ended up learning historical biases from old hiring data. They started favoring male candidates or dinging people with certain kinds of names. It's basically discrimination. just automate it. It really forces you to ask this fundamental question. If this technology is a mirror that reflects our own data back at us, how do we make sure it only reflects the best of us and not our worst? And what makes this all so much harder to fix is something called the black box problem. A lot of the time, these AI systems are so incredibly complex that even the engineers who designed them can't tell you exactly why it made a particular decision. And if you can't see inside the box, how can you fix what's broken? So, with all this amazing potential and all these serious challenges, where do we possibly go from here? Let's look out toward the horizon. When you boil it all down, AI really has this dual nature. On one hand, you have the incredible promise to cure diseases, unlock creativity, and solve huge problems. But on the other hand, you have the peril, the risk of making biases worse, threatening our privacy, and changing the job market. We have to manage both. But I think this is the guiding light, the way forward. The goal here should never be to replace people, it should be to empower them. The idea is to create a partner, a tool that enhances our own skills, helps us make smarter decisions, and frees us up to do the things only humans can do. And that leaves us with the last and maybe the most important question of all. At the end of the day, AI is a tool. It's probably the most powerful tool we've ever built, but it's not good or evil on its own. It all comes down to us. The real question is, how will we choose to use it?